Hello everybody, welcome to Mathethics original channel. Thank you for watching our videos. Please don't forget to like, share and subscribe. In today's lesson, we're going to talk about the difference between a prime number and a composite number. The difference between a prime number and composite numbers. The question is, how do I know when I see any number, how do I know if that number is a prime number or if that number is a composite number? Let me tell you this. For any number, if that number is not prime, then it is composite. For any number, if that number is not prime, then it is composite. But how can I tell if the number is prime? That's the biggest question. How can I tell if the number is prime? There are three things you need to identify about any number before you decide if it is prime or not. Three things. First, that number must be a whole number. That number must be a whole number. So that's the first thing you need to identify about that number. It must be a whole number. So when I say a whole number, that simply means it cannot be a fraction, it cannot be a decimal. It cannot be a fraction, it cannot be a decimal. The number must be a whole number. That's the first thing. The second thing you need to ask is if the number is greater than 1. So the number has to be greater than 1. The number has to be greater than 1. Okay, first, it has to be a whole number. 2, it must be greater than 1. And 3, that number has no other factors besides 1 and itself. No other factor beside 1 and itself. Okay, so these are the three things that you need to identify about any number before you decide if that number is a prime number or not. So let's take some example. For instance, if I give you 3/4, is that a prime number? First thing, is that a whole number? No, it's not a whole number. So if it's not a whole number, then it's not a prime number. It's not a prime number. So this is a fraction. So a fraction is not a prime number. Okay? So this is not a prime number. Not prime. Let's take another example. What about 1? Is 1 a prime number? 1 is a whole number, so that's check. But is 1 greater than 1? No. 1 is equal to 1 and 1 is not greater than 1. So therefore it's not prime. Not prime. What about 2? Is 2 a whole number? Yes, 2 is a whole number. Is 2 greater than 1? Yes, 2 is greater than 1. Is 2 has any other factor besides 1 in itself? So is there any other number you can divide 2 by and get a whole number? Let's check. We know 2 divided by 1 is 2. Okay, so it must be able to divide by 1. So 1 is the factor of 2. And we know 2 divided by itself, 2 divided by 2 is 1. So 2 is a factor of 2. Is there any other factor of 2? No, there is anything else that can divide by 2 to get a whole number. So 2 only have 2 factors, 1 and itself. So therefore, 2 is a prime number. What about 3? Is 3 a whole number? Yes, 3 is a whole number. Is 3 greater than 1? Yes, 3 is greater than 1. Does 2 have any other factor besides 1 in itself? We know 3 divided by 1 is 3. 3 divided by 1 equals 3. And we also know 3 divided by 3 is 1. But beside that, I can't think of any other number that can divide 3. So therefore, 3 is a prime number. Let's check 4. Is 4 a whole number? Yes, 4 is a whole number. Is 4 greater than 1? Yes, 4 is greater than 1. Does 4 have any other factor besides 1 and 4? So let's check. We know 4 can divide by 1. So 4 divided by 1 is 4. And we also know 4 divided by 4 is 1. But wait, what about 4 divided by 2? 4 divided by 2 is 2. So yes, 2 can divide 4. So therefore, 4 has more factor, or 4 has other factors beside 1 and 4. So therefore, 4 is not a prime number. What about 5? Is 5 a whole number? Yes, 5 is a whole number. Is 5 greater than 1? Yes, 5 is greater than 1. Does 5 have any other factor besides 1 and 5? Well, I know 5 divided by 1 is 5. 5 divided by 5 is 1. So beside that, there is nothing else that you can divide 5 by to get a whole number. So no, 5 do not have any other factors beside 1 and itself. So therefore, 5 is a prime number. Five is a prime number. Okay. So if the number is not prime, then it is greater than 1. So 4, for instance, is not prime. 4 is a composite number. So if the number have any other factor besides 1 in itself, then it is a composite number. I will repeat that. If the number has any other factor besides 1 in itself, then the number is a composite number. Okay. Now, so one thing we can conclude is that all even number, we can say that all even numbers are composite numbers except for the number 2. Second thing, if all even numbers are composite numbers except for 2, so therefore 2 is the only even number that is prime. 2 is the only even number that is prime. So everything starting from 4, 6, 8, 10, 12, 14, 16, 18, 20, all the way to infinity If it's even number, it is a composite number. So 2 is the only even number that is prime. And if 2 is the only even number that is prime, and prime number has to be greater than 1, then 2 become, since 1 cannot be a prime number, 2 become the only, so the smallest. 2 is the smallest prime number. Two is the smallest prime number. So we know that all even numbers are composite numbers except for 2, and 2 is the only even number that is prime, and 2 is the smallest prime number. Remember, 3 things you need to know about prime number. It has to be a whole number, cannot be a fraction, cannot be a decimal number. It has to be greater than 1, and then it can't have no other factor other than 1 in itself. So the only thing it should be divided by, that can divide that number, is 1 in itself. And once again, thank you for watching. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe. And I'll see you next time for another video.